Why, hello there. My name is Alexandra Bertolo.
I'm Miranda Battle.
Today, you are here to learn about dopamine and its effects on Tourette syndrome.
Tourette syndrome is a neurological disorder which causes people to have tics.
Not the bug.
No.
Tics spelled T-I-C-S. Tourette's is a movement disorder that originates in the brain, the hypothalamus part, and the basal ganglia. Thank you very much for interrupting me.
Sorry.
1 in
1,000 kids have Tourette syndrome.
So 1 in 1,000.
And it is 4 times more common in boys than it is in girls.
So, the chemical formula for dopamine is C6H3 parentheses OH, OH close parentheses 2, CH2, CH2, and H2.
What are you saying?
It's a catecholamine neurotransmitter. What do you mean?
What does that mean?
Come on.
I don't know what that means.
Dopamine for dummies, dopamine for dummies, dopamine for dummies. Okay, so now that you heard our dopamine for dummies dance,
you want an easier definition?
Dopamine is a neurotransmitter in the brain. A neurotransmitter is something that sends signals to different parts of the brain. Dopamine receptors, there are 5 of them, except I'm holding up 10 fingers, but I really mean 5. Okay, there are 5 dopamine receptors. Do you remember what they are, Miranda?
D1, D2, D3, D4, and D5.
Holy crap, you're so smart.
I know.
So we're going to go in deeper into the dopamine receptors, which is D1, D2, D3, D4, and D5. So D1, the D1 receptor regulates neuronal growth and development. And D2 inhibits adenyl cyclase, which is a type of enzyme in the body. And a mutation of that gene causes myoclonus dystonia, which is a type of dystonia, which is when muscles contract. It's a neurological disorder. Other mutations have been associated with schizophrenia. Also, the D2 has been linked directly with Tourette syndrome. The D3 receptor inhibits adenyl cyclase as well. And research suggests that actually this receptor plays a role in cognitive and emotional functions because actually they found it in older regions of the brain, which suggests that our ancestors had it. And so that's what points to cognitive and emotional functions. And this receptor is the target for drugs for people with drug addiction, schizophrenia, eating disorders, and Parkinson's. The D4 inhibits adenylate cyclase, and it's linked to many neurological disorders and psychiatric conditions, including schizophrenia, Parkinson's, bipolar disorder, addictive behaviors, eating disorders, and so many more. And the D5, finally, the D5 receptor stimulates adenyl cyclase, and this receptor is expressed in neurons in the limbic part of the brain, which is an area of your brain. So those are the D1, D2, D3, D4, and D5 receptors.
Pleasure. Dopamine. Pleasure. Dopamine.
Now that you know about D1, D2, D3, D4, D5, we can go on to explain more about dopamine.
Dopamine can be replaced by a drug.
Exactly. There are drugs such as Prozac, which I happen to take, except I forgot to take it this morning. No joke. There's Prozac. There's a medicine called Haldol. Those have more to do with serotonin, so we'll talk about those later.
But these drugs act on the nervous system.
So, an overabundance of dopamine is not very good, but it makes a person special in their own way, right?
Right.
Like me.
Like her.
So, when you have an overabundance of dopamine, you can get disorders such as schizophrenia,
Parkinson's,
Tourette syndrome, and a bunch more. Those are just a few to mention.
And it causes paranoid hallucinations and schizophrenia. Just FYI.
Thank you, Miranda, for that.
You're welcome.
So now that you know about that, we can go on. But as you may not know, for people with Tourette's, it's a sort of like a trial and error sort of go. Try one med, they make you puke. You try another, they shrink you. You try another, they make you faint.
You're like the rat in
Pretty much.
testing lab.
Until you find that one magical med, which sometimes doesn't exist for people like me.
I'm against animal testing.
Thank you for adding that in there. Right now we're gonna move on to the serotonin part.
Serotonin. Okay. So
Serotonin is also referred to as
5-HT.
5-HT.
And it has 7 main receptors.
5-HT1, 5-HT2, 5-HT3, 5-HT3, 5-HT4, 5-HT5, 5-HT6, and 5-HT7. And within those different receptors, researchers have found that there are subtypes. So this might take a while to explain, but it's really interesting once you get into it. 5-HT1 is the first receptor we're going to talk about right now. Generally, this receptor decreases the amount of CAMP, which stands for cyclic adenosine monophosphate. It's CAMP, C-A-M-P, is the second messenger, and it comes from adenosine triphosphate, or ATP, and is used to send signals to the cell.
And there are different subtypes within 5-HT1. There's 5-HT1A, 5-HT1B. For some reason, there's no C.
I don't know.
5-HT1D, 5-HT1E, and 5-HT1F.
So in 5-HT1A, that 5-HT1A's function is to control addiction, anxiety, appetite, blood pressure, various heart functions, throwing up, impulsiveness, memory, and many, many, many more. There are several medications that work to target the subtype, such as Abilify, clozapine, alfapral, and many others.
Okay, 5-HT1B's function is to control addiction, movement, anxiety, learning, memory, and mood, to mention a few. There are also meds that target this subtype as well. Pindolol being the main drug.
So Pendinol is the main drug for 5-HT1B. Then there's 5-HT1D, because we could not find 5-HT1C. I don't think there is one. Anyways,
according to the internet, there is no.
Exactly. 5-HT1D's function is to control anxiety and movement. And some drugs to treat this are kedazenarin and metrogyline.
5-HT1E's function is to control the blood vessels in the central nervous system. The drug used to target this is methylothiopin.
Yes.
Methylothiopin, yeah.
5-HT1F's function is to control the central nervous system and migraines. We just did 5-HT1 and their different subtypes. Now we're going to go into 5-HT2 and its different subtypes. 5-HT2, this receptor generally increases in the triphosphate.
Triphosphate.
That, which is a second messenger, such as CAMP, or CAMP, and also decreases diglyceride. Just like 5-HT1, this receptor has subtypes, but there aren't as many, so this won't take as long.
5-HT2A's function is to control the central nervous system, GI tract, and platelets. There are many different drugs to target this receptor, even some we've mentioned before.
Now 5-HT2B's function is to control the anxiety, appetite, and GI mobility, mood and movement, and many more. 5-HT2's function is to control addiction, anxiety, appetite, mood, movement, and many more as well. One of the medications that targets this subtype is Prozac, which I happen to take, and it works very well, by the way. And when I don't take it, I'm screwed, which is often. Not today, though.
Now we get to the not-so-long part. 5-HT3 controls addiction, anxiety, throwing up, learning, and nausea. 5-HT4, basically the exact same thing as 5-HT3. 5-HT5 controls movement and sleep. 5-HT6 It controls anxiety, learning, memory, and mood. And 5-HT7 controls anxiety, memory, mood, breathing, and sleep.
As you know, I do have Tourette syndrome. I also have a bunch of other issues, as you probably know as well. I have Tourette's, OCD, obsessive compulsive disorder, sensory processing disorder, anxiety, and I'm leaving one out. I definitely am leaving one out. I can't remember right now. Yeah, I can't remember. Anyways, those additional disorders are a part of Tourette's. They surround it. They are called comorbid disorders. I think that's how you say it. They're associated disorders that go along with it. People with Tourette's, I would say about 98% of them have at least one other disorder that goes along with it. I'm lucky I have 3. And the reason we talked about serotonin in this video is because of the comorbid disorders. Serotonin doesn't necessarily have to do with Tourette syndrome. It has to do more with the surrounding disorders, such as it has a big part in obsessive compulsive disorder, depression, major anxiety, self-injury, and a lot more. Serotonin is what makes you happy or sad, depressed, excited, whatever it. So that's the reason we talked about serotonin. Dopamine has more to do with Tourette's. It is directly linked. As we said, D2, the dopamine receptor number 2, is directly linked to Tourette's and movement disorders. It's not 100% sure, but they are working on finding what exactly causes Tourette's, and they found that the D2 definitely plays a role in something. So they're still looking for what causes it, and maybe once they do, they'll find a cure, which would be quite nice. Anyways, thank you for watching, and I hope you enjoyed our video. Okay, here we go. When people have not enough serotonin, what do they end up having, Miranda? No.
Wait, what?
I was asking you a question.
I don't know.
It says right there.
Okay, so too little serotonin causes major depression.
D1, D2, D3, D4, and D5. Someone's coming here. Yeah. Hi. Why would you have me over? Because I love you so much. Why? Okay. Anyways, serotonin.
Kenny Chesney, I love him. Okay, so serotonin.
Okay. We decided to take an instant bite.
Are you okay?
Anymore as well. I sounded foreign when I said many. And many.